I'm excited about our next guest, Brigette Engstrom. She's the founder and CEO of Blue Monarch Financial. She's located a little northeast of Dallas, Texas. Welcome to the show, Brigette.
Thank you, Tom. Glad to be here.
Now, I know a little bit about your background. You work with federal employees, but how did you get started? Like, where did it start and how did you get to where you are today?
So I started back in 2000, so 24 years. The morning of 9/11, so I was working for a company at that time that raised venture capital to build hospitals. I packed my bags that morning, kissed the family goodbye, headed to the airport, which at that time for me and my family was in Denver, so Denver International. Got to the airport, boarded the plane. I was headed to Gatwick in London to pick up some money for some doctors that wanted to invest. Well, we rolled away from the gate and then we sat on the tarmac for hours. We couldn't turn on our phones. It's funny, I still have the phone. It's the little bitty Nokia, right, at the time. We couldn't turn our phones on, so we had no idea what happened. We came back into the gate. They said, go find a TV. So we went and found a TV, and I remember sitting in the airport. It seemed like hours, but it was really probably a half hour, but I was watching the reels and watching the replay. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, all of these people had some days. Someday their kids are gonna get married. Someday they're gonna move to the country. Someday this, someday, and they had no days left. And I realized that about myself as I was sitting there. I kissed my family goodbye the same way that morning, thinking of all the some days. And so I went back home and, well, at that time I could turn my phone on, so I said, family, I'm safe, I'm on my way home. But it really started a journey for me to use my licenses and my expertise in a different way. Help people in their own personal financial situation. People that I talked to weren't saving enough, they didn't know, there was no plan. I wasn't saving enough. My husband and I had no plan. We were just hoping that things would work out, right? We didn't know. So that started a journey, and I was a solo practitioner for many years, using my securities license, IUL, tax-free retirement, helping educate people, spending plans. And then I found out about these things called fixed indexed annuities in like late 2017, early 2018, and just help people develop more of a plan having more skill. Now we're a company, we just hired our 44th employee. Super blessed. We help a lot of families every single week. Help their plan to retirement. Here we are.
You know, on 9/11, you know where I was? I was in downtown Manhattan.
Oh,
I watched it all happen. That morning I'd gone to Queens, to an office in Queens, and it was all right in the window there. I had to go back into the city. Wow. And then, if you remember, airports were shut down, flights were shut down. I was supposed to fly home on Thursday. I couldn't fly out till Saturday. So I was in Manhattan the whole time this happened. There was I still remember the smoke going across the whole city. It was incredible. Now, you've had a lot of experience, but what really excites you to get out of bed and go to work every day?
Behavioral finance, introducing people to their money persona. We all have one. We all do different things with our money. There's triggers around money. There's politics around money. There's emotion. We don't think about our money logically. We think about it emotionally. And so, sitting down with a family or individual, a group of people. Anybody that will let me evangelize about it, I do. And it's super interesting. And when they meet that person, their money person, it answers a whole lot for them. And it's fun. Now,
you're like the host of a real popular radio show, right? Retirement Readiness?
Yes.
What does retirement readiness look like to you?
To me, look, I have no story outside of what our client's story is, right? So what I think that it looks like to our clients, and they keep coming back for more, so I think it's a good basis to start. 5 core principles. One, we got to have a written plan. We got to understand our spending. Our spending isn't going to change in retirement. I don't care. I don't care what people say. 24 years of history, it's just not going to, right? We're going to spend on different things. But if we're spending $5,000 a month now while we have a job, while we're working, we're going to spend $5,000 a month in retirement. We are, right? So let's be honest about that. Let's come up with a plan. So let's understand our spending and let's understand our relationship with the IRS. We have all these assets. We spent decades saving on a pre-tax basis. Those roosters are going to come home to roost. We're going to have to pay, right? Let's understand what that looks like. And there's strategies to divest the IRS. There is legal strategies. Maybe it's something that you do, maybe it's not, but we got to look at it. We have to understand how to live with health issues, right? We know that's coming. We're living longer. Longevity is a real thing. So let's understand how to live with those health issues. Let's have a plan for that. And then finally, what do you want it to look like when you're gone? You get to decide that while you're living. Estate planning. Let's do it. A lot of our clients have businesses, business owners. A lot of our clients have properties that have appreciated in huge amounts. That stepped-up basis is going to get you. There's some planning around that. If it doesn't get you, it's going to get the ones that you leave your stuff to, right? So there's some attractive planning that's available today. Use that IRS code, know it, use it to your advantage.
Now, what are some obstacles that stop people from becoming retirement ready?
Lack of financial savvy, knowledge, lack of financial education. We spend more time in our schools today educating our kiddos on stuff that doesn't matter, and they can't balance a checkbook when they get out, right? They have no idea how to balance. So that savvy, education, procrastination, lack of a plan, lack of knowledge, pride, a lot of times, especially as we get older. I should have started this long ago. It's not going to work now. Who am I going to ask? What are they going to think of me? So all of those things get in the way of really moving forward.
I know you're big into income planning, and as you know, I believe in that too, but why is income planning so important for retirement, and even for pre-retirees? They should start getting some pre-retirement income if they can.
No matter who you are, no matter when you retire, if you're working and you're retiring, the one thing that you have when you're working that you're going to need when you're retired is a paycheck, right? You're going to have bills, you're going to have insurance, you're going to have gas, you're going to have utilities. So you might have a mortgage paid off, you might not. You're still going to need a paycheck. And in retirement, it's not the size of your retirement account that dictates your quality of life in retirement. It's that ability to have a paycheck for as long as you need it. And longevity is a thing today. People are living longer. Men and women, our clients, if they're 65 in average health, average. For females, actuarially speaking, they're going to live to their late 80s, early 90s. Men, mid 80s to late 90s. Our clients could very well spend 25 to 30, 35 years in retirement. Nothing wrong with that. Hallelujah. Let's pray. Let's hope that happens for people, right? That they want that to happen. But let's plan for that income. Income planning is a different skill set than accumulation, wealth building. Wealth builders don't think about how to deaccumulate those assets, right? That's not what they do. Retirement income planning, we look at the wealth that you've created, whatever that is, and we figure out how to make that last your entire life, however long that might be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so critical because people don't spend assets. They spend income is what they spend.
That's right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of cookie cutter solutions out there, but how important is it for people to have an actual personalized plan?
It's the most important thing. General advice is going to give you general answers, but it's not going to take your spending. It's not going to take your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. It's not going to take what your spouse wants. It's not going to take the dreams that you have with your grandkids. None of that is taken into account. I equate it to baking cookies, right? My favorite cookie is an oatmeal raisin. To make the perfect oatmeal raisin cookie, you have to turn the temperature down and you have to bake it a little bit longer, because there's nothing worse than a hard, crunchy oatmeal raisin cookie. You want those to be softer, right? So you have to turn the temperature down. Well, if we just use a general recipe to bake cookies, the cookies aren't going to turn out right, right? The same thing with people's financial retirement income plan. We don't want general advice. We want to take your favorites. We want to know how you like it served up, when you need it. We're going to adjust the oven temperature and the time and make it just perfect for you.
And isn't it true that if you have some guaranteed income, you can actually be a little more aggressive with some of your other money and actually make more money in the market because you have some money in guarantees?
That's so true, Tom. And how we like our clients to think about that, when you're young, you have life insurance to protect the foundation of your financial plan, right? Something happens to you early, you want your family to be taken care of. You're going to take the risk of your income and what you bring to the household off the table. In retirement, that foundation is your income still. So don't bet your retirement. Don't bet that away in the market. Secure what you need for your income, and then what's left over after that, you can be more aggressive. You can try this. You can try that. Some of our clients in their 60s want to know about Bitcoin. I don't know that, but is your retirement income squared away? Yes, it is. Okay, then you can talk to this person over here, because you're not going to lose your house. You're not going to lose your retirement house on Bitcoin.
So Brigette, we talked a little bit about estate planning, but why is that so important?
Well, for multitudes of reasons. The number one reason is you want to protect what you have accumulated, what you've grown, what you've sacrificed for. You want to make decisions about where that goes if you become incapacitated and can no longer make decisions, or when you pass away. Where do you want that to go? Who do you want to get it? You certainly don't want the state to get it, right? You certainly don't want your assets to be clawed back if you can't make decisions for yourself. One of the things, Tom, that we do that we're super, super proud of, for every person that we sit down with, no matter where you are in the United States, you get 2 documents from us with your retirement blueprint. That is your financial power of attorney and your healthcare durable power of attorney. It's not the end-all be-all. It's not the only thing you need, but it's a darn good start if something happens to you and you can't make decisions.
I think it's so important to do that estate planning, because you want it not just to go where you want it, but how you want it. And to if you get involved early, you can literally significantly reduce the amount that the IRS is going to take. And people who just do it themselves, the IRS ends up taking a lot of their estate that it didn't have to go that way.
75 to 80% we see, depending on the state you reside in. Yes.
Now, we didn't really talk much about Social Security, but that is also a key piece of many people's retirement. Now, not every federal employee, because some of them did, like my dad paid into a teacher's retirement program. He didn't pay into Social Security. My mom did. So she got both her teacher's retirement and Social Security. My dad just got teacher's retirement. So tell me about how important that Social Security is and where you see Social Security here in the future.
So Social Security is a part of people's retirement plan. There are some strategies around when to take it. Are you married? Is your spouse been a stay-at-home spouse? Has that been the spouse's job? Taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, taking care of the life, right? So if that is the case, there's a strategy around that. If you're single and there's nobody else to think about other than yourself, what part of Social Security, how much of that is going to play into your retirement? How dependent are you on Social Security? Are we talking about the inevitable? Sorry, I know it's not politically good speak. This may not make it to the final cut, but look, our politicians have to make some decisions, and there are some sound, simple decisions around Social Security that can be made, right? So they might not do their job, but we can all do ours, and we can understand that Social Security, as it stands right now, and look, Mom, I'm not trying to scare you, right? We have our, our older generations who are on Social Security or taking Social Security right now as a part of their income in retirement. But for us who are not yet collecting, let's be smarter about it. Let's figure out a plan. Let's see what our options are. Let's save a little bit more. Let's be less dependent, because what is coming down the road, and even though I work with federal employees, I have no inside information. I just know the math, and it's not sustainable. Right. Tom, you talk about this all the time. It's not sustainable. So let's know that there are cuts coming. Are they going to happen in my lifetime? I don't know. I'm 56. I don't know if they are, right? But I'm planning for it. In fact, I'm planning to not have Social Security. Do I think it's going to be there? Yes. But am I planning for it? Nope. Right. Now, some clients that are older that we sit down, older than me, or haven't had as long to plan, are they planning for it? Yes, they are. We're helping them plan for it, but we're helping them plan for not as much, right? The younger generation, who we were talking about just a few minutes ago, right? Plan for even less. You have time on your side. You can put more away for longer periods of time, and there is a strategy. So Social Security is always a part of our conversation. We run a Social Security report that shows people this is what happened if you delay, this is what happened if you delay this amount of time, this amount of time, and this amount of time. So how can we get you there, maximizing your Social Security and not depending on it earlier?
You're also the founder of the Alliance for Federal Employees, and I know you work a lot with federal employees.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Why was it so important for you to get into that market?
So it started being from Texas. A lot of Border Patrol, met with them. They would hear, see an ad, see an advertisement. We would get contacted. Federal employees have a very complex set of benefits. They're not subject to ERISA. It doesn't work for them like it does for people who don't have a federal position. They have pensions. Some have Social Security, some don't, depending on the system they're in. When we sit down with federal employees, one of the first questions we ask them is, how do you feel about your benefits? How do you feel your understanding about your benefits is? Strong, medium, non-existent? They'll all say strong. And at the end of that first appointment, as we go through our fact-finding, they always learn something that's really very basic, and they're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't know that, right? Well, buckle up, because we're about to really dive deep into your benefits. And so the more federal employees that we met with, we saw it's complex. There's nobody inside the federal government teaching them about their benefits. So we came alongside of them, and we're teaching them. We take a very educational approach. And look, they have a lot of superpowers, a lot of things that they can do, and they can do it early, and they can do it frequently to make sure that they maximize their retirement. And
so really for federal employees, retirement isn't a do-it-yourself project. It's too confusing, and they really need like a Sherpa to get them through the mountainside, right? And yes. A guide that knows what the different options are.
That's right. And if they're married to a federal employee, they can really hurt each other by how they choose to set up their benefits, right? So yeah, it's super just amazing work that we can do with federal employees.
You know, with this show, I'm trying to help young people build wealth. And I know, you work with a lot of retirees, but you work with some young people. What are some tips that you would have for young people on how they can get started and how they can put themselves on a path to financial independence? Because that's really what it is.
Right. So number one, get your book, right? Absolutely. And actually any of your books, Tom, will help a millennial, a young person, Gen Z. What's below the millennials and Gen Z now?
I think Gen Z is the youngest one now, I think. There's probably one below it.
Right, yeah, we just don't know what it is named yet. But I would tell them, look, maximize what you have through your employer. Take advantage. Learn, right? Be careful who you listen to. There's a lot of DIY advice out there. There's a lot of celebrity talking heads about things, right? That don't necessarily, look, they don't have a license. They don't have to answer to a regulatory authority. It's generalized. Put your cookies in the oven and hope that what you get out is what you really want. Don't do that. You're young enough now that you can start earlier. It's a smaller amount that you have to do to get where you want to get when you want to get there, and that means that you can get there earlier. Retirement is not an age. It's a number, but it's your number, Mr. and Mrs. Client, Mr. and Mrs. Gen Z, Mr. and Mrs. Millennial. It's your number, but that's an asset size number. And with the proper planning, you can get there. And you can do it in a most least painful way.
Yeah, like I talked about in the book, a 25-year-old, if they get 6%, they can put $500 a month away, they'll be a millionaire when they're 65. But if they can get 9%, they only have to put away $250 a month. If they could get 12%, they only have to put away $100 a month. And so it is doable. That's right. If they can take a long-term view, don't panic when the market goes down, diversify your assets, but it's the saving, the regular
Yes.
saving that's
right.
that's so important.
And debt. Watch your debt.
The debt kills you.
What we call it lifestyle inflation, right?
Yeah.
So many people, and I don't see it as much in the younger generation. They're, I think, better savers than boomers, and certainly some of my generation. We tend to spend more. We see good savings coming from this.
You know, I think we're both in agreement that retirement's not a do-it-yourself project, that you really need a plan. Mm-hmm. But some people think, it takes too much time to do a plan, it's too time-consuming. What are your thoughts around the importance of actually sitting down and having a plan?
It makes millions of dollars of difference. So if you come in, and whether you come into one of our offices, we have 14 across the United States, whether you call us and we do a virtual meeting, whether you meet with somebody in your local town, it doesn't matter. You spend a couple of hours up front learning your money persona, right? And then a year, maybe you invest an hour to 3 hours a year, right? That's nothing. That's nothing.
People spend more time planning for their next cruise or their next vacation, and this is their whole retirement and the rest of their life.
People spend more time in a line getting a coffee on the way to work, right? Absolutely.
We've covered a lot of great information. I know there's a lot of federal employees out there who are going to want to call you. How can they get a hold of you?
So on the screen that you're looking at right now, there's a QR code. So you can put your camera up there. It's going to take you to a site. You can schedule an appointment. You can call our office. The number's on the screen as well. When you call the office, you're not going to do your appointment at that time. You're going to make an appointment. And one of our retirement income planners is going to be scheduled to have that appointment with you. And the rest will be history.
And what is your website again? Just
the website, if you'd like to go to the website and schedule, that is scheduling.goaffy.com, or you can go to bluemonarchfinancial.com.
That's very good. Brigette, I want to just thank you so much for coming in today. I think you've given some very valuable information. And I want to thank each one of you for watching Tom Hegness, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?